do something different this week with our podcast. Normally, I would either share the video recording of the actual podcast itself, but we had an issue. We're doing 4K now, and it's a lot for the computer to render, so I'm upgrading the computer, so that's not a problem in the future. Or I would do the headliner video as well, but those are boring. You and me both know that. So I thought this time, let me show you the editing process from beginning to end. I'll show the thumbnail creation and stuff like that. I'll also show you the headliner app too. I really like their website, and I want to make sure to give them some props. We use them often. So let's get started and get me out of the way. So I'll put myself in the corner. Oh, look at that. Nice fancy box, like a professional Twitch streamer or some shit. And then I'll also show you those QR codes, because those things are so nice. We have them on our posters and stuff, so when we go to conventions, it's been a lot of fun. Okay, well, let's show everything we have. This is a template I've saved on our desktop. So let me show you the desktop. First off, Jon Snow for the win, right? Okay, and here's our Geek Freaks template. I say, so it's always nice to kind of have a template for that. I also have a template, this isn't it, but I have a template for Premiere as well. And I have many templates for all of our thumbnails and the different thumbnails we do. So I'll show you the template and how I adjust it every week so you guys can see how that's done. Show you a little bit behind the scenes on that. Okay. So I'm going to get started, and then I'm going to show you what everything's doing. And let me move this out a little bit. That's the first thing we do. So I brought in the intro first. This is the intro music. You'll note that there's no effects going on here. That's because I've already cleaned it up. I've already made the correct audio choices for that a long time ago. And we keep it... The best way to do a podcast is to keep things as consistent as possible. And so you never want to change your intro if you don't need to. That's not to say you don't want to refresh it someday. 200 episodes in, 100 episodes in, maybe even 50 if you want to. Go ahead and change it up a little bit, add some things. Dollop did a really good job with that. If you guys ever want to hear a good podcast and their change up around like episode 320, I think it was. They changed their intro. They did a good job of that. Text. Sorry. So let's just go ahead and hear how this sounds, okay? This is the intro. This is our voices kicking in. Oh, first, before we do that, I always want to normalize the audio. So let's use my track since it's got the most talking. See, that's a lot of talking in that time. Look at, a lot of talking. So we normalize it to make sure that the peak is at negative 3 dBs. So past 0, you're going to get distortion in your speakers with that sound. So I like to go, they have a favorites, it's -3, and that's kind of a safe area. You're just getting into the red, just getting into the danger zone, but not too bad. And then I'll put a hard limiter on there later on to kind of bring it down to -6 sometimes. But let's take a look. So right here is kind of that line is our guide. That middle line that I cut the mouse on, that's -6. So we try to keep around there. And so let's take some things that we know are going to be too high. This here is going to be too high. I have shortcuts on my mouse to zoom in and zoom out faster. So I won't go over all that. Then we can turn that down a little bit. See that? Now what this is doing is turning down the volume on those moments. Because you ever have the headphones in, and this happens a lot on podcasts, especially the smaller ones. And sometimes in video or audio, like music, where you're driving and you're not paying attention, and somebody makes a joke, or maybe they'll make a thing where they're laughing really loud, and like, oh my god, you almost have to pull your headphones out, like, oh my god, that's just too much. It's because they didn't bring it down below the 0 dBs, or it's a sudden loudness when it's like calm, boom, too high, and then, So my mic is actually the best quality one too, because I do so much talking. So it's usually not too bad. But let's see. I'll zoom in on. Oh yeah, so that's selected. So see the spot right here? That looks like I almost hit the mic with something. Yeah, it looks like I hit the mic or something like that. I don't know, something happened right there. We'll bring that down a little bit. Okay. Now let's get the full shot. By the way, if you ever want to get some details on how to use Adobe Audition really well, Mike Russell is a really good resource. It's completely free. So check out Mike Russell on YouTube. He's a really good second teacher to me. I use, my main source is Professor King at my school. So shout out to Professor King. He's pretty awesome. Okay, so stop texting me, girl. Wow. She's texting like crazy. Okay, so let's go favorites, -3 dB, normalized to -3 dB. That's going to make sure that the peak of my audio, the loudest point, is at -3 dB. I can then go find that spot, turn it down, run this again. It'll bring it up to the second highest. And I can keep doing that until everything's the same level. The problem with that is you kind of get this issue where everything kind of sounds the same. So you don't want to forever do that, and it'll take forever. And really, human speech goes up and down, like you're hearing right here. So let's just go into this once. Okay, didn't change too much. This is a high point right here. A couple high points, but they're real small ones. Generally, the speech looks like it's pretty normal. I think this probably can go up a little bit. Let's turn this up just a hair. Okay, let's see. Generally, I think it looks pretty good. Okay. The other ones I know will be a little different. So let's see. Later on, we're going to be doing some noise reduction. So this part right here, let's show you the part I'm talking about. You see how it's got the up and down on it? See how there's a little bit of like a mess? That's somebody else talking. That's background sound. We're going to be able to take that, do some noise reduction, and remove it completely. So it looks messy now, but we will get rid of it with noise reduction. I use denoise because we're in the studio right now, so the audio quality is actually pretty solid. If we're recording on location, I'll use adaptive noise reduction, which is a little bit harder on the computer, but does do a heck of a good job. Except for if it's really a bad situation, and you have the adaptive noise reduction going too fast, you'll hear the drop and kick back in, boom, 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 boom. You hear it, and it can be a problem. But sometimes, I mean, like you're recording live in a convention or something like that, you just can't get around it. It's just what it is. Reducing those, actually, it looks pretty good. So let's just go and get our -3. Yeah, you dropped it a little bit, not too bad. Always have coffee when editing a podcast. Oof, number one rule. Better than important good mics. Okay. So the changes that we just made are made here already after we've done our things. That was the source that we changed, so it's made over here. Yeah, they look pretty good. We'll turn this part down here when we get to it. But generally not too shabby. Okay. Now the reason, again, so if I had edited something out, what it would have done when we're doing each track separately, it would have taken this section out and then moved the rest of this track over, making it shorter than the rest, and then these would be all off. So if you're going to cut something out, you have to cut it out of all 3 of them. So we'll do that as we go. Now, what we're going to do for the sake of this video, notice that I have I have the higher quality mic, and you can tell here. And this is how you can tell I have the higher quality mic. You see how when somebody else is talking, you see the spots in the middle here? You see somebody else is talking, and it's just like getting into this mic. Now, this mic, the better quality mic, has none of that, right? Look, when somebody else is talking, or there's just background sound, my mic isn't picking anything up. It's better quality mic. I just bought another one of these mics, so now, because we're slowly buying new mics, you know. So now we have 2 of these mics that are the better quality mics. Eventually we'll have all 4. What's nice about that is I now have an extra mic for when we have our 5th guy. We've been using the Yeti for that, which is the Yeti I use right here on the computer. And it's a different mic, so then this is a condenser mic. We use dynamic for everything else. So it makes it a little hard. But anyways, let's get into this. We'll be listening to a little bit of this podcast, and then we'll transition over we'll turn the volume down for you guys. I'll still hear it in my headset, but you guys will hear less of it. It'll be quieter. And then I'll be going over the thumbnail process and all that other stuff we do. Okay, let's get started. Hey, y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks.
Geek Freaks.
I am Frank, and I'm with Daniel.
Hello.
And Squeaks. And today we're going to be doing our top 5 TV moments of 2019. We're going classic top 5. So we have Tiana Rules. I forgot to get the Tiana Barbie doll out. Maybe later on. And I've got our timers. Remember these old timers? These are classics. Yeah. You guys notice that? I noticed that. We have 2 of the same tracks. How did I not catch that earlier? See how these 2 look a lot alike? Oh, goodness. This is a really good one for me to film because that has never happened before. Oh, that's funny. Let's get rid of that one. Oh, no! If you make a huge mistake like that, it's called edit undo. Oh, that's fun stuff. Okay, let's remove that one. Oh, boy, I'm nailing it hard, guys. I'm killing it right now. So I'm always 4. This one is 3. Let's get 2 in here. That's why I was like, why is 2 not have the processed version, the sample rate version in? So let's get that going. That takes a bit. While that's doing its thing, that actually might mess up the recording because it is pretty intense on the computer to do this processing part because I have so many presets in. Let's get rid of the adaptive one. So let's go ahead and show what I'm using here. Speech. I'm keeping an eye on the video recording because it does mess it up usually doing that. But it's just the one. When I was doing all three, it was messing it up, so I had to start from the middle. Speech volume leveler. So what that's going to do is it's going to kind of help me out in doing what I did earlier, where when I'm talking and if I sit back, like for example, Squeaks, I'm not saying anything bad about him. He's fantastic. To be honest with you, one of our best podcasters. But when he's getting into it, and he's really, passionate about his conversation, he does this thing where he goes like, oh yeah, and I love Star Wars, and my God, Star Wars is so good, and da-da-da-da. You're hearing it right now, because I'm not going to edit this audio. I want you guys to get this audio raw. The back and forth, I'm having high volume, and then it reduces to low volume, and high volume, by the way, DuckTales all the way, right? And so this will help kind of pick up where he goes low, and then lower down when he goes high. It kind of picks him up, and then for myself as well, I'll do a joke where I'm like, yeah, and he does this. Well, I'm thinking I'm being quiet, but that doesn't come out well on a podcast, so it kind of fixes that for me. Things like that. Or if I get mad at somebody, which in the top 5 I get mad often, too often, I'll be yelling almost. I'll be like, no, you're wrong. Superman would be Batman. He wouldn't. Superman would be Batman. Blah, blah, blah. By the way, I just did that whisper thing I was talking about. Isn't that funny? And it'll kind of calm me down a little bit if I don't catch it already. I catch things so I can really kind of overdo it and make sure it's really safe. But the speech leveler helps with that. And it picks up gain and it reduces things. Gain is volume, essentially. I'll do that a little later on. Speech, or a de-esser. So the hard S sound. Let's think. Let me see. How can I show this? So, yeah, I met Sally, and it was great. That hard S, it's like penetrating to the ears. This will help kind of curve that a little bit. And you could actually change it to male voice or whatever, So the male de-esser is probably your best bet for this. I don't know why I have it set to the other one. But anyways, that's our de-esser. Hard limiter. Again, this is just to make sure that we don't go too high in our voice. It's set to -3. So this is if I forget to normalize it. I have the hard limiter in there as well. And then at the end, I'll usually put in a hard limiter at -6 because it's really important for the comfort of your listeners to not be too loud. You almost want to be a little quieter where they'll turn you up. Not, you don't want to be too loud and be like, God, these guys are annoying. That's what you don't want. Most important one, de-noise. We have the heater on because it's the middle of winter and it's freezing. Or when it's the middle of summer and we have the AC on. That brrr sound. Or the fridge. We used to record in the kitchen over at Jonathan's house. Next to the fridge. We had to take that fridge sound out. The computer's on right now. You guys are probably hearing the computer. It sounds like a beast because it is a beast. Except for it can't process and record video. Anyways, so it'll take that sound here, like the middle part right here. This is all like probably background sound right here. Actually, it's somebody else's voice. But it's not too bad. It's not too loud. Anyways. And if it's just the normal sound that's hearing all the way out, it'll take that and remove it. Now, that's just flat denoise. It works great when you have like a consistent sound. If you want to, you could use adaptive noise reduction. So say you're at a convention and you're talking, all of a sudden somebody's walking by like, yeah, Mandalorian's the best, blah, blah, blah. And they're kind of like a little too loud and a little annoying. It'll catch that, drop in it, and drop it back out. I'm doing my hand motion over here. It'll drop in, cut that out, and then drop back out. There's also the other kind of noise reduction. I forget what it's called. It might be actually called noise reduction, actually. Where you take a sample, so you'd highlight this section here, tell it to take that sample so it knows what the noise is that you're trying to remove. Then you take your entire audio track, find all that noise and remove it from there. That's also a way. All right, that one's processed. I'm such a dork. I can't believe I didn't realize that. So that's our main ones. The last one is when I'm talking, sometimes I have a little bit too much bass in my voice, and I'll reduce it. I think this one I have too much bass in my voice, so we'll hear that a bit. So let's try this again from the beginning. Here we go, folks. Hey, all, welcome to Geek Freaks.
Geek Freaks.
I am Frank, and I'm with Daniel.
Hello.
And Squeaks.
Squeaks.
And today we're going to be doing our top 5 TV moments of 2019.
Ooh, okay.
We're going classic top 5. So we have Tiana Rules. I forgot to get the Tiana Barbie doll out. Maybe later on.
Damn it. Yeah.
And I've got our timers. Remember these old timers? These are classics. Yep. Someday when we're like real big and like they have us as brain trust for the president or something like that, they're going to have these in the Smithsonian. Boom. All right. So the 1-minute timer is how long we have to argue for our point. The 5-minute timer is how long you have to make a decision, which hopefully you don't hit that, but we have hit in the past.
Yeah.
So, don't do that long. Okay. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to name I'm actually remembering this part. We actually say our 5 in no particular order. And then you go with who you want to be your number 1. Then you have 1 minute to make your pitch to Squeaks. Squeaks is our judge this time. And I'll make my pitch for number 1. And then if your guy doesn't make it, you can use it one more time. That's the Princess Tiana rule. Yep. Okay. Old school fans know what the Princess Tiana rule is, so we don't need to explain all that. But all right, so let's go ahead and name off what our 5 is. Daniel, what is? Okay, so I'm still listening to the edit in my headset, and I turned it down for you guys. There we go. You're hearing some mistakes as I'm talking. I'll repeat a word or something like that. I used to go through and remove every time I doubled the word, things like that, but it starts to sound unnatural and not a conversation. And a big key with podcasts, especially this type of podcast where it's all about the chatting. Let me turn them down a little bit. Is the fact that it sounds like a conversation, like you're sitting at the table with us. So if you remove too much of that, if you try to make it sound like it's professional audio production, then it does become a little tricky, So let's go ahead and turn this up a little bit so we can hear us talk about TV moments, and then we'll continue with editing.
Friends. I don't care about them.
Hasn't seen Friends either. Seinfeld to me is egregious. Go ahead.
And Crisis on Infinite Earth.
That's an oddball right there. I didn't think you're gonna bust that out.
Yeah, okay.
That's actually my number 6 or 7. My 6 and 7 are tied, so that's actually not my top 5. Is Crisis on Infinite Earths. So as much as I think it's important and awesome, I want to see what happens next year because you have the wrap up.
I honestly don't care about any other episode on that show.
You just care about. Yeah, I know what moment you're talking about. Okay. All right, my 5 in no particular order. We have The Mandalorian, Chernobyl. Chernobyl.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
He's hitting me hard right now.
I realized 4 out of 5 of mine are all.
Can I get a different guy? Can I get John back? Because, this guy only watches the 2 shows that you watch.
Okay.
Game of Thrones.
It might be 5 shows right here.
I think I already lost.
So number 4, Chernobyl, or not particular. Watchmen, Veep, and Game of Thrones. Those are mine. Okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna go back to you, Daniel.
Yes.
What is your number 1 all-time favorite TV moment?
Number 1, huh?
We always do it that way.
Okay,
We talk about this multiple times.
Okay.
We have to do it this way so you can keep on fighting to keep yours in the race.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense with the Tiana roll. Okay.
Tiana roll makes it messy.
Let's see. My number 1 was.
Timer?
Oh yeah, I got it. Ready? Go.
My number 1 was Crisis on Infinite Earth.
That's crazy. That's your number 1, dude.
I know. I told you. So for 2019. So Tom Welling reprises his role as Superman.
We haven't had a moment I wanted to really edit out much right now because I'm again trying to make things sound more natural. And so we got kind of lucky so far. There is a lot of ums and stuff like that, but again, I don't want to take too many. I'll probably take some out so you can see that process here in a moment. There's a good one right there. But yeah, so generally this is how top 5 works: is we go over our 5 and defend them and stuff like that, and then we have the Tiana roll. That came from Princess Tiana, and the reason we call it the Tiana roll is we did top 5 Disney princesses, and Squeaks picked Princess Tiana at number 1 and defended her all 5 turns. And I was like, dude, that's so boring. And he was like, no, Princess Tiana all the way. And she never made the list. So now we have the Tiana rule where you could only defend something twice. And that's why it's so important to play the Tiana rule right. If you're really passionate about it, you'll use it one more time, but that last time you use it, that's it. And if somebody else has it on their list, they'll join in usually to make sure Tiana goes through. So it's pretty cool. We've had a lot of fun with it. I actually have the Tiana Barbie somewhere that we bought for the Tiana roll. But yeah, let's turn it up again, and I'll try to do some editing when I hear some ums. We'll edit them out for the sake of you guys seeing it. Even like Lois and Clark, old school 90s Superman, I used to grow up on that one. Mm-hmm. He actually plays Kara's adopted dad in the first couple of seasons.
Okay. I just want to, because you were going on with that. I wanted to verify. That was the moment. Okay.
The moment was him coming back.
Okay.
And then bringing back the farm because it was Smallville. And then just seeing that he actually got rid of his powers because he never wanted it. Mm-hmm. If you follow Smallville, he had to do it. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like you had to. But he made that choice of not being Superman, which was cool. It was awesome.
All right, let's remove the double knot from Daniel. Okay. Again, that is the way Daniel talks. And our fans have come to if you're one of our fans, you know this. They've expected that out of Daniel now at this point. So it's just how he talks. It's just natural cadence. Same thing with me. You know, my ums and whatever. I can see I have an here. You get once you've edited enough times, you're like, that's an I'll bet you $5 that's an Here we go. Ready? They were like, look, this is. Shoot, as it is, but I said it like an Okay, so let's take care of Daniel's double words here.
It was kind of like you had to, but he made that choice of not being Superman.
So it's an easy edit right there. So it's that double knot. This is the knot right here. Okay, we can zoom in and see it better. That's the extra knot. Now, let's remove this to there. You'll note that I've got all 3 tracks. Okay, make sure my volume's up. Okay. All 3 tracks because you want to make sure the timelines are 100%. Now I have it set to snap. You can take the snap off if you want to. And somebody who's like Mike Russell's a big defender of not using the snap. To me, I love the snap because it really helps make sure that you have your timing 100% correct. So I suggest you keep snaps on. Okay, so we have all 3. We remove them. Okay, and we take the tracks again. We highlight all 3, but on one side. Oh, sorry. This is what it looked like before I pressed it. And then you press off, so it deselects all the tracks, because what it's doing is you kind of like separate it into 2 different tracks. I keep using my hand motions, but it's like you separate it into 2 different tracks, right? And then it had all, essentially, 6 tracks selected. So if you move this one, it actually moves all 6. So we deselect, so it selects none, and then we select these 3 on this side, and we move them to where they're butted up over here. Now, if you can, you always want to go over a little bit. What these yellow lines are saying is that's the volume. And it's reducing the volume on this side a little bit, and then it's increasing the volume gradually on this side. What that's doing is it's making it to where it fades out and fades in right away. That's really important because what you don't realize is there's even breathing. So when you say a word, especially like that's one thing I'll often edit out of myself. If I get on a rant, I start to get like to where what I'll do is I'll go, and then da-da-da-da-da, and then da-da-da, because I like take in my breath and then I expel information, you know. And this will help with that sound because all of a sudden I could be mid to where it sounds weird when I take a word out. So if you do this, it almost makes the breathing, shorter, but still sound like a breath. And it just helps. I'm hearing myself do it now that I mentioned it. But anyways, let's test how that sounds now. Okay, let me turn up this volume so you guys can make sure you hear that. Okay. Let's go back a little more.
But he made that choice of not being Superman, which was cool. It was awesome.
Right? I really love, in defense of your choice there, I really love the fact that they were like, look, this is the Superman you guys love from Smallville. Even like they brought back Brandon Roth. I should have just waited. There's one I wanted to get rid of. Brandon Roth. Let's make myself sound a little bit smarter. When you take care of ums, it just makes the speaker sound smarter. To the degree that maybe is too smart. That's why we usually keep some of them in. So it's like, this is just a conversation, guys. It's not like I'm trying to be, a professor in this moment. But let's go and get rid of some of those ums a little bit, right? They brought back Brandon. So we'll keep one of the 3. That sounds like pretty good odds, right? All right, so we get close. You can get so close to this, guys. I could get the exact waves. Let's just go in. Let's move in. Look. Holy cow. I mean, if I were to get exact, to be right there, I think. Here we go. So double ums. Remember, highlight all 3 tracks. Move over. Grabbed. Now I have everything. So for me, I have a MMO 12-button mouse. So it's 1 to zoom in, 2 to zoom out, and 3 to remove. That's just me. I do a lot of editing on 2 different podcasts, and I have projects, and I help other podcasts out. So I do a lot of video or audio editing. So 3 to remove. Deselect, select, move in, crossfades, and perfect. Okay, zoom out. Let's hear how it sounds. Even like they brought back Brandon Roth. That was a little bit too fast. So let me take my track only, deselect this track, and blend it a little bit harder. Now that's making it to where it's stretching because the was almost too harsh of an which in normal discussion it was because it was the third But now it's the first I'm saying too much. And so now we want to make sure it comes in a little softer. Let's see if it sounds right now. His love from Smallville. Even like they brought back Brandon Roth to play. There we go. Superman Returns Superman. And his one rule was like, okay, but it has to be the same Superman from Superman, the movie Superman Returns. And sure enough, it is. It is that Superman that is back. Yeah. And like that. And he lost like a bunch of people from the Daily Planet or whatever. So it's really cool.
Yeah, Tom Welling, when he seen the pilot for his like little piece, he was like so freaking jazzed about it. He was so happy. So it was just nice to see him back.
He needs more work. Why is he not working more? You know what I'm saying?
Because a couple of his movies didn't do so well when after Smallville.
Yeah.
And then after that, people just never casted him.
Hopefully he gets picked up for something, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, what are his movies?
Game Plan, I think, or it was it's that football movie.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And then there's like another one, I just don't remember, but they both bombed, and from then there's nobody that wanted to cast them.
I've only seen the first season of Smallville. I really need to watch the rest of them because, from my understanding, the way it develops really kind of leads into what we have now for Arrowverse and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they're different, you know, but still they kind of lead into each other. So that's pretty cool.
All right, let's get it, Frank.
All right, my number one, and I mean, this is props. Great choice. Crisis is amazing, but mine just has to be the number one, right? Because of pop culture. I'm turning it over now. I know I took a little extra time there. Okay, Game of Thrones, the final season. That's the total moment. I'm going to pick one moment in particular that was like, try to keep a dry eye when you're watching this. Jaime knights Brienne of Tarth. Mm-hmm. Okay? Sir Brienne of Tarth, might I say. So this is an arc that we have all fallen in love with. Brienne is a woman who's in a world where controlled by the patriarchy, and she finally fights up the ranks just being a true knight. She's one of the only people in all of Game of Thrones that is actually a true knight in shining armor. And we see it come to its finale here when Jaime, the man that she loves, actually knights her. Jaime, who's flawed and only has few good moments in his life. This is probably his best moment, and he knows it as well. He knights Brienne. She becomes Sir Brienne of Tarth. It's just a beautiful moment. The entire season's amazing. And, you know, whether or not you think good or bad of it, we were warned ahead of time that you weren't going to love this season. You know that you were not going to be happy with the end. George R. R. Martin told us all that. But the finale was amazing. And this moment in particular, I think it was like episode 3, was just beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Flipping your time.
You went with that one?
Well, the final season, but I think I'm looking for the shining moment that like everybody agreed was good. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard because people are like, "Oh, Arya taking out the Night King," but some people are like, "Oh, I wish it was Jon." So that moment, everybody can agree was amazing. Yeah. So what I just did there, and I'll show you a little better. Turn this down more. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so what I did there is I was a little bit too bassy, and it happens when I get too close to the mic. And I try to stay calm. I get a little bassy. I'm bassy right now. I know. I could hear it in my voice. So I had originally had this set to where I was actually taking away some of the tremble. And that was because of last time I used our equalizer was for our live recording at SAC Gamers Expo. But generally I use this to take out some of my bass. And that's back here. Bass, treble. And so I just took it down a notch just to kind of take out some of that real low. It just takes a little bit of that edge off. I probably use this one third, maybe a quarter of the time. I don't use it often. It's just when I get a little too close to the mic, and I'm especially when I'm reading information off of the laptop, and I'm like really deep into the information. I get a little close, and I know mentally when I'm recording, when I get close, to talk a little quieter, just because of a practice. We're over 100 episodes. I've practiced that part. But I also, when I get quieter, I get a little bit bassier, and you guys can hear it here. I get bassier when I'm talking. So I try to reduce that bass a little bit, just so it's a little bit easier to listen to. The key to all podcast editing is make sure it's as comfortable as possible to listen to for the listeners. Otherwise, that's the number one thing they'll turn the podcast off for. You could be telling them the most important information in the world. If it hurts to listen to, they're not going to listen to it. That's just it. All right, so let's keep going with the edit and listen to the podcast.
It was just nice seeing.
So how do you give it away? His powers?
Blue kryptonite. If you wear blue kryptonite,
just go with comic book situation. You know, so there's always something that I'm gonna go.
Yeah, there's different. Yeah. There's different kryptonite in that shit. Yeah. But anyways, he pretty much wears I think it was a watch or something that pretty much gave up his powers.
So he has to keep the watch on?
Yeah, you have to keep the watch on at all times.
So then he took it off to fight some evil?
No, Lex Luthor tried to kill him with kryptonite, and then it didn't affect him. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't affect me anymore. And then Lex tried to pull a swing on him, and then he just punches Lex in the face. And he's like, I can't believe you got rid of your powers. And he pretty much he's like, there's no point in me trying to kill you.
Do you want to break down which Lex Luthor this is?
No, I don't. I only seen that episode.
Okay.
Like athletes, we're making jokes about.
What I did there is it was another sound that was out of Daniel, and it was mid conversation from Squeaks. So Squeaks was middle of saying something when that happened. So the best thing to do, Squeaks' mic actually picked it up as well. But I just took Daniel's microphone out for that second so that you don't hear that sound. Now, I could also take out Daniel's mic the entire time he's not talking, and actually it would clear up the audio between all three of them because it wouldn't get as much echo. As we get better mics, it'll be better. You can see there's a lot less background noise in mine, and even mine can be upgraded even more. So that's what that is. That's why I didn't take it out of these two, because it's mid-conversation, and if I can't take it out of the person who's talking, then I can't take it out of all three of them because I have to keep the timing. But if I take it out of just one and then leave the gap, it'll sound fine. So let's hear it again just to make sure
it was all
right.
Even like athletes. We're making jokes about like,
I
want to do is watch Game of Thrones.
Right. While I was pumped to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths, not everybody agreed with me.
Yeah.
Even you would watch Game of Thrones and you don't watch TV, but you didn't watch Crisis.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to lean on you as a judge in that sense. So I'm just saying.
But the only thing is. Never mind. It's whatever. It's
well, I like your thing, and that's why I'm going to give it to Frank still. Anyways,
yeah, I wonder why. Because you only watch 2 shows.
Oh my goodness!
Game of Thrones, Chernobyl. That's the problem.
I can't wait for round 4.
The reason why I'm giving it to Frank though is because it is not the most action packed.
I'm not gonna lie. Doing top 5s with Daniel is hard sometimes because he's so passionate about his choices. That it's like, dude, we don't want you to get mad. We're just having fun. He gets so passionate about his choices. It's hard to work with him sometimes. We saw it right there. He was furious that Crisis on Infinite Earths didn't get number 1. While I agree it's amazing, I mean, come on now. Game of Thrones, the whole United States especially were surrounding that moment when, like, my parents could not tell you the Crisis on Infinite Earth. They don't even know what that is. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, everybody knew what Game of Thrones was. So, see how right now he's still getting passionate. It's just so fun. It's funny, and yet it's like, come on, dude. It's okay. Oh, Daniel. And randomly, Tony Stark shows up as Iron Man. You didn't see it coming at all. Mm-hmm. And it's that kind of like, oh, my God, we get a little bit more of Tony.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more of Tony. You know what I'm saying? Is that kind of thing where it's just like, that's, I'm assuming, right, for you?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just a little bit more of Tom playing Superman. Like, that was amazing.
Is that how you felt?
Honestly,
well, it doesn't matter.
Honestly, I already knew when we were going to do this moment, I was going to lose because any moments for Game of Thrones, I already know you're going to be orgasming.
So, with, let me turn it up a little bit so you can hear still in the background. So we are seeing, it is kind of going past our area. That's why I put the hard limiter in, because even though all 3 are capped at a certain level, when you add 2 angry people or 2 loud people, it goes over the 3. So that's why I'm going to later on put the hard limiter at the end. And if you want to put the hard limiter on the entire thing, it goes on the master, which is the final output.
It is a unselfish. It is a unselfish sacrifice, selfless sacrifice.
It was redeeming for Billy too.
Yeah, because obviously we hated him in season 2, not hated him as an actor or anything, but because of it, how he
was a good actor.
Yeah,
just his role was just freaking. Oh, you want?
And then when you see him in the beginning of season 3,
he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna continue editing this on the second monitor, while showing you the process of making the thumbnail for this. But I'm listening to it. So. I need to be writing down who's the winner so far too. Let me do that let me turn this up. You can keep listening to this while I work on some other listing stuff I forgot to do. Most impactful stuff a little bit.
Yeah. True.
While that was amazing, your entire season was leading up to that moment. My entire series was leading up to my moment. So Gary, that entire time, was always her most loyal ally. And in that final moment when she could possibly show some respect to Gary, she turns on him in the biggest betrayal possible. Mm-hmm. And Gary returns back after she's died, and just to show he's still a loyal servant, even after serving time in prison.
Hey, Taff, I don't agree with it was leading to that moment, because the moment that was actually leading to was another moment that I actually have on my list. that was just an extra moment that actually became special.
Well, I mean, okay, so not necessarily for the entire series, but for Billy's storyline. The entire time when you're watching Billy, right, including mine. So mine, my entire series was leading up to that. I'm talking about Gary's storyline. For yours, I'm talking about Billy's storyline.
Yeah.
You're watching him totally fall into corruption. You're hoping he'll bounce back, and then he finally does the last second.
Well, actually, the whole time I really didn't care if he came back. So I was cool with him dying, but him coming back and saving 11 and seeing why he was the way he was.
Okay. I just wanted, so what I was just doing there is need to write down who's winning, because we've been making Instagram posts and stuff like that to show like first, second, third place, and I have to keep track of those. I forgot. I dropped all my notes where I had everything written down during the recording. Real quick though, Veep needs to be winning this, and it's unreal that it's, spoiler, it's not going to. Drives me nuts because Veep is such a phenomenal show, but bunch of non-Veep watchers makes it real hard. I think I even used the Tiana roll on it and I can't save it. It's so upsetting. Okay, so I got this on the other second monitor. I'll be editing that over there while we work on the next thing. Let's go down to our... thumbnails. Templates. Podcast. Actually, let's go multicolor because this is something new that we're doing. So this is our thumbnails that you guys have seen a lot. This one's, got the freebie games, but we'll switch to podcast. That's because that was the base template. So let's just say podcast real quick. So when you're on, that had edits on that. So when you're on our YouTube channel, this is the thumbnail you clicked on. Actually, what you just saw. It's this. When we use headliner, it's this as well. This is the launching point for the podcast. So it needs to look pretty decent. I have recently purchased a lot more. Hold on. Let me edit that part. It was too quiet for too long on that part. There we go. So, we have multiple. I bought all these from a very good vector artist. Let's go with... You know what? I haven't done this one yet since I bought it. All my reminders coming in text messages. Okay, so we'll use this. We're going to be putting... We use something called Comic Script Extended. Is that what we use for our main font on everything? Again, another thing I bought. And, it's doing that one up there. Let's go down here. And you know what? I actually already have this template made. But for the sake of showing you guys, I'll just show you how we do it, and I'll open up that template I had. We're going to go best. You know what? Let me open it up, because I don't remember what I said on it. Let's see. So let me see, because I have the one with the actual typing on the bottom that I liked, and I saved it into a separate one. Here you go, top of 2019. There you go. The reason I'm saving this one is because I already have the top 5 movies blank. I'm gonna switch that, of course, to TV moments, but I like the little layout of that too. So we use green and yellow already for these series we did, but I'm gonna use this one. That looks cool. I like it. Let's edit that part out of the podcast real quick. There you go. So top 5. Oops. Edit, undo type. This is terribly done, to be honest with you, because I used a lot of spacing just to get that exact that space bar. You should never do that. This should be 3 different things, but I didn't this time for the sake of doing this thoroughly. Okay, hold on. Let me show you something. So to get the spacing down a little better, go over here. We have it at 30. Let's go to 36. No. 48. Close. One more. 60. 60 might be right. Let's see. Okay. Then we move this whole thing up. We have our guides. It's going to show us center. Right there. Right there. Let's check the spelling. Go to... Oop, that's not it. Check spelling. Spelling. Spell check complete. I thought for sure I had two M's. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not going to lie, guys. I do a heck of a good job debating this. Okay, so top 5 TV moments of 2019. I like how the T and the twos, that's because of the stroke ability. This is obviously from the movies. We can go down here. Let's make sure. This is our old top 5 logo. We're using that for this series, just as like a little special side thing for the people who. This puts the fog on it. See that little fog we put on it? What that does is it makes our logo stand up and make this look more of like a background. Without it, it becomes a little bit too busy, you know? And it's already busy, but it's meant to be busy as in the background. So something that kind of like glosses over your eye, not something that's the focus of your eye. And this helps separate the two so you know to do that. Actually, this I could have put a drop shadow on. Let's see. So it's blending options. Let's see if that would have made it any better. Actually, I probably could have made this drop shadow. Let's see. Let's take the size down a little bit. I like the spread. Let's make the distance not so far. That would have been interesting. I could have done that, but it actually takes away some of the stuff. So, anyways, let's go with that. Okay. Let's remove all of these templates, guys. Templates. I can't suggest them enough if you're starting your own podcast. By the way, if you started your own podcast and you happen to like ours, let me know. I am so here to help. Oh man, social media wise, I could use the power of our Twitter account. It's not huge, but you know it isn't too bad to help you guys out. And of course, any editing or branding, you know, thumbnails, anything at all, we are so happy to help you guys. Just let us know. We're very glad to help. I've already made some contact with some podcasters out there that are starting out, and I'm so excited to help them out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, this is obviously our logo we've been using forever. I made that January 2019. Let's see, podcast. Yep. Okay, looks good. Now we need some images. Top TV moments. So we know Brienne of Tarth is the one that won the first one. Let's do some Googling. Okay. Now remember, don't steal images, y'all. So let's see what we got here. But if HBO put it up, then it's advertising for HBO. That's what I tell myself. So you could use some of those. Internet, again, I'm very sorry for this.
Give me a moment with Yoda, because we've been talking about specific moments this whole time, and then you're like Baby Yoda, and then how it changed Mandalorian, whatever. Now you're just talking about a character, so he's typing really mad right now.
Hey, one cool thing about Crisis of Infinite Earth.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna watch the whole series, but I'm sorry.
That's crazy, the Baby Yoda.
Wait out.
As big as it was in the world, that it's not on there. That's nuts.
Yeah,
Kevin
from the cartoon.
Yeah,
he's Old Man Batman.
Yeah,
they're kind of setting up possibly Batman Beyond. It's like it's available.
Why
is the strokes not?
So I'm like,
yeah, he's Old Man Batman with a suit, like an actual like.
Yeah.
Why is it gradient? Why is it so? Hold on.
How are you watching this? Are you just recording on CW?
No, YouTube.
Oh.
YouTube is my main source right now. Like,
The DC. I went and got the DC universe again before. So.
Yeah, I tried the DC universe, and
I'm just getting.
I'm waiting for Harley to be fully done.
Yeah.
There we go. And then I'll probably hop back.
Okay, so let's go over the numbers. By the way, if you guys are typing,
I'm putting Gary front and center. I don't care what they say.
Okay, so our
Oh, it's because of my mask. Oh my god, I'm such a dork.
Has a podcast from
Hold on.
television.
It's funny.
5 is Crisis on Infinite Earths and the Return.
Oh, Frank. I'm like, why is it so low? That's hella funny. Okay,
Number
here we
4,
go.
Stranger Things when Billy sacrificed. No, that one was. Hopper disappoint. Yeah, because we have 2 Stranger Things.
We're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 4 was Hopper's sacrifice to save everybody in town in Stranger Things. Number 3 was the reveal in Watchmen of who Hooded Justice was in his backstory. Number 2 was also Stranger Things. That's the sacrifice of Billy. And number 1 was Game of Thrones, and specifically the moment where Brienne of Tarth was knighted. I think it's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
There's definitely some missing ones, for sure.
But you did good with the brand. Because you were like specifically in the moment. You didn't say like, oh, Jamie afterwards. This is what happened to Jamie. Now he was a better person. Blah blah blah. See, that's what you did with Yoda.
Yoda is so cool.
It's just Yoda though.
I'm already like
Daniel.
can't wait to buy
It's amazing how much I'm heated right now because
I
Daniel
thought Yoda was
is
the
just
runner-up. I was
is so
should I
bad.
put it number 1? Nah, I don't want to win that easy. I honestly I saved it for 5 because I was like, at least it has to be on the list somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'll just save it for 5. I know I don't have to worry about Tiana rolls or anything like that with him. It's gonna be on the list. And then fucking Tom, nobody cares Smallville gets on the damn list. Yeah.
And you
All
got
right.
Lois Lane. Come on.
Yeah. Was it the real Lois Lane?
Yes,
Okay,
it
I
was,
wasn't sure
too.
about that. Because remember, I only watched the first season of Smallville, and they had that real cute girl. What was her name?
Oh, Allison Mack, the blonde one.
No, the brown hair one, not that one. No. The brown hair one from the first season of Smallville that was like his friend, and they were gonna hook up maybe. Gosh dang, what?
Allison Mack.
She's not blonde. She has brown hair.
No, the one that they were gonna hang out. She does the Wall of Weird. She's the sports, or
Maybe.
she does the reporting. That was Allison Mack, who is in jail for.
No, yeah, not that girl. Not that girl. Yeah, for the sex cult. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah, no,
Lana
we'll talk about that afterwards.
Lana Lane.
Lana Lane. I was trying to think of the name. Oh, she was cute.
She's so cute.
Oh yeah.
I've seen a picture.
Now I'm all about Yennefer though from Witcher, so it's all right.
Yeah, I need to get further.
You do. Yeah, you really do. Season like episode 4 or 5. All right, guys, that's gonna be it. That's our top 5 TV moments, and I'll make a little visual effect for it too. And then we have some more top 5s to go over, and then we got a review for Star Wars. Which you're gonna spoil everything for me.
Yes.
It's pretty crazy. All right, guys, talk to you later.
Bye.
So back to the editing. End of the episode, we always do our outro. Just put the outro in there. Oops, wrong spot. Again, we put it in the music tab because it's something I've already edited and gotten the sound down that I like. Let's zoom out a little bit. So this is where the music kicks in, and then we have a spot here in the music where I lower the music down and start talking about following us on Twitter and whatnot. So we want to make sure that we kind of have it to where it comes in, but it's not too loud while we're talking, and then a little bit of a break, and then get into my dialogue again. So let's hear how that sounds.
Like episode 4 or 5. All right, guys, that's gonna be it. That's our top 5 TV moments, and I'll make a little visual effect for it too. And then we have some more top 5s to go over, and then we got a review for Star Wars. You're gonna spoil everything for me.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. All right, guys, talk to you later.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks podcast. You can find us on Twitter at
You need to
Geek
probably
Freaks Pod.
turn-
We're also on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
right.
email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All the
Okay, so let's put the hard limiter on everything because I know there's moments where we went high, especially when we're arguing. Let's go to, it's here, hard limiter. And then we'll just say -6 overall. Now the master is the end all thing. It's everything is feeding into the master. The master is what basically is being rendered out. So when you put the hard limiter on the master, it's putting the hard limiter on what the total volume will be. Then you go File, down to Export, Multi-track Mixdown, Entire Session. It's important that you do all that. So I have it's already kind of preset. Let me show you. So we'll go. I have the podcast flash drive that I use for all our podcast stuff. Geek Freaks for this podcast, finished podcast, and then you name it, and you can tell that we've done all our top 5s recently. Top 5 TV moments. Boy, I'm typing so slow today. And then save. Okay, so file name, top 5 TV moments. Location, I just showed you where. Format, MP3. You do MP3 because it's the easiest one to upload. If you're trying to continue working on the project, you want to go WAV. It's lossless, and MP3's a mess. Sample rate's 44. 48 if you're doing Blu-ray audio. For CD audio, you go 44. So most podcasts are done in 44. Because a lot of the servers that we're using is limited space, and we only have so much space a month, you go 44. Sample type, 44.
format setting. Don't worry about that. It's the 192. Entire session in stereo, so that it's in stereo for the people who are listening. And then let's see. Yeah, everything's good. Press OK. Normally I don't check everything as much because it's been good. Now it's exporting the multi-track and it's basically creating a new audio file that'll be everybody mixed together. Let's continue with our work over here. You see how we have our... Yeah, we can have that now. So now I'm making our podcast thumbnail and using a lot of stolen images. Let's see. You'll note that I put Gary in there because Veep should have been in there, and this is my one time to be a rebel. Oh, God. I can't believe Baby Yoda... I'm going to get Baby Yoda, too. I cannot believe Baby Yoda didn't make the list. That is crazy. This is the... I think it's the polygonal lasso tool. Let me make sure of the name before I confirm. Oh, my gosh. I clicked it again. What a dork. There you go. Polygonal lasso tool. And this thing's really nice for those clean edges. It'll auto snap to your guidelines. It's the reason I put them. One of the big reasons why I put them in there. And then, but I'm like real clicky. Right? It's because I've been drawing so much today. I've been using the tablet a lot, the drawing tablet on here, so I'm kind of shifting still. But yeah, you want to make sure it's underneath those lines. What do you guys think? I wish I had a sharper Baby Yoda. But I want him sipping that tea. And I got Gary in there. The Tom Welling picture I had is not that great. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Okay, so I used Tiana for this one. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. File, export. Quick export to XP. By the way, when you first get Photoshop, it'll be to PNG. I switched over to JPEG. First off, it is very sharp images. But the reason I did that is because Instagram only takes JPEGs. Why? I don't know. Instagram, be more useful. I don't want to go on a rant too much. I cannot stand Facebook and Instagram. Instagram owned by Facebook. They're so janky. And why they're so popular, I'll never know. Twitter is so much better of a system, in my opinion. Oh, man. And you guys know if you follow us, I use Twitter so much more than the other ones. I just like it a lot better. I'm trying very hard to use Instagram, and it's actually slowing down my Twitter game. But where am I at here? Podcast. Oh, when I do this with the one, it means that I changed something and you can't replace it when you're exporting. So that means that later on I'll go through, delete this one, and then give this one the proper name. Okay. Oh, actually, I might as well use that. Okay, export it out. Okay, it's in there. We can double check. We'll make sure. Podcast, TV moments. Let's open her up. Looks great. I'm happy with that. Okay, now I'm most likely going to use the video you guys are watching right now for this. But if I were not, I would use Headliner. Let's not save any things because I'm good. Headliner is a really, really cool website. I can't suggest them enough if you're a new podcaster. They also do a lot of Instagram stuff too. So, you can use it for that. So let's go Headliner. That's headliner.app, A-P-P, okay? And then you're going to have you log in and stuff like that. If you already, you can just get started and it'll automatically log you in if you already have that all done, which we do, okay? Audiogram, or Audio Wizard, you take a short clip, and I'll do that with this one just for the sake of, I should do this for this one. It'll take a short clip, turn it into a little audiogram. You guys have seen them all over Instagram, there's no doubt. And then you can export that out. We use this one. You can do the audio videos too. I may set this up at some point. I have in the past, and they've been just okay. I might try that again, actually, because it's always good just to have them on hand. And then you have the video transcripts as well. Also something I might try to do at some point. So you first start off by choosing your audio file. We do that in the finished podcast. Top 5 TV. You'll notice there's not a lot here because I have archives. So if we go to, let me just show you that real quick. Actually, it's probably about time to move some stuff over. Archive. This is every episode we ever released that's not in the finished one. And so every so often I'll take a chunk of these, move them over, and then just keep them in the archive. And it's been a couple months, then I take that archive folder and then I duplicate that and add it to our external hard drive. That's our emergency, oh shit, world ending hard drive, just to make sure that our voices are preserved. If something goes wrong, I can get all of our stuff back. So we have all that. Oh, you know what? I did say of 2019. Top 5 TV moments of 2019. Okay. Audio is selected. Go next. You choose what you want. When you're going to be doing YouTube, you want to make sure it's this landscape one. This is good for Instagram. This is good for full portrait, so for like the cell phones, if you're going to be sending it to somebody. But this is what we're going to be putting this. If we wouldn't normally send this onto YouTube, we're not going to do this one. We used to use. Let me first add the image. So that thumbnail we just made. Go back to Geek Freaks, thumbnails, podcast, top 1. There we go. Just said crop. It's 100% accurate. What we used to use is this blue wave one because I liked it because it sat right next to our podcast thing here. Budge it down a little bit, just like that. I always thought that was really nice, but I know it's not as modern looking. I think that looks really nice personally. I really do like that myself. But I try to make sure it's something that everybody will like, so I go with the equalizer. That seems to be real common, real popular. So let's go and put that one down here. Stretch it back out. Oops, come on, you. There we go. Stretch it back out to full. Put it on the bottom. This has become real popular, so we'll just stick with that for now. And for the sake of showing you this, and it'll be sent to it's the Geek Freaks at thegeekfreakpodcast@gmail.com. And you can't close this window, so let it do that, and it'll eventually come in. Yeah. So that's that. Got to bring out our stuff over here. Actually, I'll keep showing this up. Oh, here's this. So we have our thing done. Trying to think what else we do. Oh, we make the Patreon post. So on Patreon. Oops, wrong one. This one. So go over here. Got to keep that open again. Patreon. Make sure it doesn't show any important information. No important information. Who I'm supporting. Small Beans. Love that podcast. Ronan Geek Official Podcast. And Grief Burrito. Please support those 2 podcasts. They're awesome. Small Beans is run by Michael Swaim, who I can't suggest him enough. He's a really cool guy. But he just got hired over at IGN, which has been, it's just amazing. So, guys, check him out over there. I just got a notification. Do I want to see what that notification is? Let's take a peek. Start charging your patrons for December on January 1st. Okay, well, I'll check that out. So new post, image, because we use the thumbnail and we want to make sure the thumbnail is what's seen on the front page. Upload new image. Remember, we got that thumbnail we made. So little behind the scenes thing. Normally I would post to our website as well, but our website's under construction. I'm trying to make it to where we have a lot of more articles where we publish ourselves and put up there. And instead of just, sharing other people, I actually want to make our own articles as well. So we're working on that. It's a work in progress. But normally I would post there and here. Now, behind the scenes stuff is I write this article. This article is actually going to be the description used for the podcast later on when I post the actual podcast. So, but here I go. Next show. This is for the patrons. They get little notifications when these come in. Top 5 TV moments. My typing today. 2-0. Oh my god, really? I need some, what's that, Mavis teaches typing, whatever. Another thing for the fans may always know is always start everything with hail. Okay. This. I'll keep typing it out later on. You can go more than I post that, and I'll probably share it too. Make sure you say it to public. Well, you don't have to say it to public. we do everything, if I remember, in public because we just want people to come check out our Patreon page. They do not have to pay for anything. We appreciate it, but it's not needed. Again, this takes a while here, and Leonard's still going at it. And then after that, we go on to Twitter. Twitter's our favorite one, but there's other ones too. And we post it. Let me show you an example of one of our examples here. So we always do the emoji, new episode, ! Emoji. We kind of do a brief little thing of what we're doing. We're talking about top 5 movies. This is that one. Our podcast, this is our iLink. We'll open that in a new tab so you can see what that looks like. This episode had a promo from Cage Kiss. I didn't put one in this one because we're doing it now, but check out Cage Kiss. Cage's Kiss, really cool podcast. And then I need some hashtags over here. Pod People, that is from Pod Nation's thing. Or it's not, I'm sorry, it's Alex from 3 Hours Later, his own thing. So you guys check out Pod People. Pretty active over there. Podern Family is a group, a podcast network that's pretty huge. But it's kind of spammy, so if you get offered to join Podern Family, it's a lot of spammy stuff. Be careful of that. Share Show. I really like Share Show, so I follow those who use Share Show, and I also use Share Show. So it's just a way to share other people's stuff and your own. Pod Nation. That's one of our 2 networks that we're in. This is also ran by Alex from 3 Hours Later. He loves his social media. And then next, we've had him on our podcast. Please check that episode. It's a real fun one. Next Wave. This one is it's a network ran by Wintersoul. Awesome podcast, super supportive group. I can't suggest Wintersoul enough. So 3 Hours Later and Wintersoul, follow those 2 guys. They're just super supportive and amazing people. And then, this was posted on Saturday. Whatever day of the week it is, whatever day, there's something trending with that name in it. So, Monday morning mood, Monday morning, or Monday motivation, Monday morning, all those things are always trending, whatever day you put it on. So this one's Saturday Vibes, Saturday morning. I'll post this one now, and you'll see that it posts. And I would use the hashtags for tomorrow. So even though I'm posting it the day before, because I want people to see it in the morning. And then the iLink that I put here, or this one's actually chartable. So this one goes to something like this, where you can then click on Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever, and then it'll bring you to that exact episode. Okay, well that's great. I didn't know that. Let's see if this is interesting. Let me see. Does the Apple one work? It should bring you to that exact one. So see top 5 movies of 2019. And then we have the iLink too. This is the iLink here. And it brings you to this thing. A lot of people use Linktree. I prefer iLink because I think this gradient that they do in the background is really fun. And you can switch that up. And I like, the Facebook, Twitter. Actually, I got to add our Instagram. And then you can go Instagram and also like, does this Spotify one work? What the heck? I'm thinking it's Spotify fault, not ours. What's up? Google Play working? Okay, yeah, it's working. Geek Freaks. All right, I'm getting tired, guys. It's getting pretty late over here. So let's see. Let's go ahead and post the episode so you can see that process real quick. And then that'll probably be the last thing we do. We go to Libsyn. But that's about it. All right, guys. Yeah, so after this part, we use Libsyn to post our podcast. Really cool server company. They're a little pricey, but I do like... let's do it on a new page. They are a little pricey, but I do like all their stats and stuff like that. So Libsyn, that's the one that we use. I use Anchor for the other podcast, for Outlast Podcast. If you're new to podcasting, Anchor is perfect. It doesn't have so much of the dashboard stuff that I really like, but for Outlast Podcast, which is kind of a small, just fun pet project that I do on the side with my mom, because we both have been watching Survivors forever. It's fun to do. It's not a big podcast, 22 estimated audience size, 178 plays since I've been on Anchor, which has been 3 episodes. So, because I just switched over 3 episodes ago. Yeah, it's been fun. Available on one platform. Well, that's not right. Anyways, I'll figure that out. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us, though. And I hope you guys enjoyed this format. If you guys like watching me make an episode, instead of us doing just the headliner stuff, which, by the way, is headliner done? Yeah, okay, that's what it looks like when headliner's done. That takes a while. But if you guys like this version of it, where I'm actually showing you the editing process, then let me know on Twitter, and we'll go with that, and we'll try that some more often. I might do this more often for the patrons. But if everybody likes it and it becomes a thing, like hit us up on YouTube as well. Just like give us a thumbs up or whatever. If this gets enough thumbs up or whatever, then I'll do this more often. I don't mind showing you. I have to do it anyways. I might as well do it in front of a camera. So I'm gonna get the upgrades so we could render those 4K videos of us actually talking. That'll be nice to be able to do that. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll talk to you later. Bye.